What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you my second place OTS branded Despia profile. Now I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm actually going to give you more of a tournament report, and I'm going to lay out the cards for each section so you can pause as I explain the matchups, as I explain the particular cards that were sided in, sided out, and the overall play style, and then obviously you can net deck if you want, test it out for yourself and see what works best for you. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. Any questions in regards to the profile, by all means, please put them down in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into the full profile / tournament report of the second place branded Despia. Okay, so the matchups were as follows. Round 1 was pretty much budget branded. They just didn't have the Despias, or they didn't put Fusion Destiny into the deck. I won that one, 2-1. Round 2 was Salaman Great Adventure. I was like, holy crap, this works quite well. I didn't see him use the adventure stuff until game 2, so I'm not too sure if it was a side engine or not, but won that one, which is very, very good matchup. Round 3 was Sword Soul, and there was a card in the extra deck that put in huge work game 1, and that is, of course, I'm not too sure how you pronounce it, but it was this guy here, the Proto-Skillion, so good. Like, super poly into this, break board, bring back Baron, cool, let's go. Round 4 was my loss, which was against El Lich. Like, legit, game 1 was flip skill drain. I had Dragoon, so it was like, okay, let's battle this out. And then game 2, I won that one. He activated Judgment. So I made him go first. Activated Judgment. He burnt for half life points, and then went to Guardian Chimera and Aluba for game. Then game 3, he flipped anti-spell. I didn't have the Cosmic, so he just locked me out from that one. And all my hand was like branded Fusion, branded in red, super poly, and it was just like, oh, this is terrible. And then round 5 was against Flunders, so that one was quite interesting, back and forth. Went to game 3, went into time, or was just about to go into time, and luckily I was able to normal summon or flip summon Albaz, because it was set from the previous turn, attack for damage, and then fuse in main phase 2 to go into Tax Dragon or Masquerade Dragon and burn from there. Anyway, as you see from the monster lineup, of course we've got triple Aluba, double Tragedy, 1 Adler Bite, 1 Comedy, but there is no drama. Now this was something that I considered, like, I played this Friday, I played this today, or by the time this video comes out it will be yesterday, and basically I just felt that drama wasn't needed. It was basically a win more push, and the way I kind of wanted to do this was, you ideally want to be fusing with Adler Bite off of Brandon in red. Yes, the on-field effect of drama is pretty cool to be able to negate an XYZ Synchro Link, I believe, as well, or Fusion, but I just felt that I didn't need it. Now, I'm not too sure if I would go back to it. It is something that I am considering, and like I said, this deck is still being played around. One thing that I did learn today is that I'm not 100% set on these two here, which is the Spring Guns kit and the Merry Carrier. Now, the Spring Guns kit is pretty cool, as it is a pseudo Aluba, so like, if you can't get into any of these, which you should be considering, you've got 2 Tragedy plus 3 branded opening, which I was consistently seeing, this is just another option to normal summon it. Because of the change to the spells and trap lineup, its effect isn't that great because of the combo where you're going to be getting branded in red anyway. The card that this is going to search is either going to be branded opening, the field spell, or it will be branded fusion, which you would have already had at a certain point anyway. So I'm not too sure if this is a necessity card anymore and could arguably be cut. Same for the Tri Brigade. It's like, well, I'd rather set Albion to set me the branded in red, less so the Brigade, but in this particular version, it's a give or take. 2 Fallen of Albaz, 1 Comedy. The best thing about this is when you put it into the graveyard, or if you discard it off of your Lubellion, your opponent kind of sits there and they don't even use the Ash or the Imperm. Like, sometimes I'll go, you know what, alright, I'll activate this now, and you just dodge it with the Comedy. And what makes it so good is Lubellion and Albion both already activate their effects, so they can, in theory, then just banish themselves or spin themselves back. So you're not... all you get is you get a nice 2k defender on the board, which can then be used as fusion material should you open up a poly or anything else. These 2 cards were stuck to my hand the entire day, like, absolutely hated it, but they are what they are. Same with Celestial. And then I've gone with a very small patchwork poly engine, and the reason I like this is because if I was to send this off of branded opening, if I discard it off of Lubellion, I can then get an additional trigger effect, which then means I can, so in particular theory, so like, for example, in branded openings scenario, I build a chain block. If in the Super Poly or the Lubellion example, it gives me something else to follow up the next turn. And then straight away, all I then need is I'll have Edge Imp and I'll have a Lubra in hand. So I just activate Poly, use Lubra on the board, Edge Imp on in hand, activate Poly, fuse these two, Masquerade. Now, yes, I put myself into Super Poly territory, so if you wanted to, you just hold back the piece and then go from there. And the idea behind that is I want to see this, I don't want to see the other two pieces. I tried this at 3, and there was times where I was like, I'm seeing 2 of this, and I don't want it. So I've kind of cut it with 2. It's worked okay, and it's done the job that I needed to right now. Triple Ash, double Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, and double Haunted Mansion. Now, these two are like, they're stuff that I'm testing out at this moment in time, just to try something a little bit different. Now, the reason that this is kind of an interesting one is it's specific on special summons. So it's like, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can target and negate. So it's like a Veiler, it's like an Imperm. The other additional effect is if that card leaves the field, you get to burn your opponent for its attack damage. Now, the reason that this is good is, for example, if your opponent summons DPE back, so let's say during their turn they go DPE, pop Venom, send it to the graveyard. During the standby phase when it summons itself, you can activate this to then attempt to use it. And it basically means that you're trading this for the DP effect. Because they're like, right, well, if I use DP's effect is going to be negated, and then that's when you can start going to Chimera, you pop it, you do an additional 2500 damage. It's also very good to drop during your opponent's turn, because then they can summon a big boss monster and you go, cool, activate this, negate its effects. It will then put them in a position where they choose to use the Omni Negate to negate it, or they don't. You then trigger the Branded in Red, bring out Chimera, Chimera pops it. You can either use Mirror J to banish it, and then it will burn for damage. And let me just confirm that this is just when it leaves the field. Yeah, leave the field this turn, its controller takes damage equal to its original attack. So, because there are ways for you to control that monster leaving the board, not only does it put them on the back burner of going, right, okay, so I can't use this card for Synchro material, I can't use this card for like Fusion material or anything like that, and kind of go from there. A card that I had been considering is Contact C, that a lot of people have been talking about, but as of right now, I haven't seen it have multiple usage across all of the matchups that I've been facing. So I kind of gone with a 2 and 2. So this is kind of cool in a sense as well, is that you could drop it on a Golden Lord, and then they're like, right, well, if I pop that, they're going to take 2500 damage, and then you copy that with something that's already going to be doing damage to them, and then burn damage off of Masquerade. You can pretty much push for game. The Ghost Bow is just an option because of stuff like Comedy that is going to help them dodge Imperms and Veilers. This can be useful in order to stop Albions. It can also stop Branded in Red. It can also stop the trap card if they use that for the Albion Dragon to then banish it, put it back to the bottom of the deck, draw a card, because then it means you can stop the trap doing anything. So it's an interesting tech that I've tried out. There were a lot of matchups where I was like, yeah, okay, this card's of no use to me, I'm going to take this out. So these are 4 flex spots that you would adapt and change to whatever you see fit. Whether you want to put Imperms, Veilers, Cosmics, you name it, you do it. So that's it for the monsters. Now on to the spells. We've got triple branded opening. Always use it during the draw phase because it lets you dodge stuff like Droll, which is really important. And don't forget about its graveyard effect that if a fusion monster you control would be destroyed, or fusion monsters, you can banish this card instead. Very, very important. I had to use that against an Eldritch matchup because they were trying, Dragoon was under skill drain and they were trying to go Conquistador to pop it. I was able to get branded opening to the graveyard to protect. Triple Pot of Prosperity, again, it's just consistency. The cards that you're going to be banishing off of this is, you know, you'll probably banish 1 Albion, 1 Mirror Jade maybe, 1 Masquerade Dragon, the Proto-Skeleton, the Draxtapelio, the Glory Dragon, Tyrant Dragon, Dark, you name it. You've got a lot of targets you can kind of banish off of it. And it's ultimately just digging for your power plays. So, though Super Poly, Branded Fusion, Branded in Red, Fusion Deployment, Fusion Destiny. Then, of course, you've got triple branded fusion, no-brainer. Double branded red, again, pretty staple on this one. 2 super poly. Now, this is just for the pure fact that I'm not, like, I wasn't completely set on it. It's one of the ones that if you play it at 3 and there's no, the matchup you have, you can't use it. It's a dead draw. If you play it at 2, you've got less chance of seeing it, but then you also have less chance of seeing it when you need it. So, it puts in a lot of work, breaking boards and extending your own board. So, I'm not set on 3 as of yet because it does require that discard. Still something that I'm working on. Double Fusion Destiny, straightforward it is. It's just an additional win card. The 1 poly, the 1 patchwork, or as you explain this with the chains. I don't want to see these. These were glued to my hand as well, really annoying. But the idea is that chain gets used as material or just general discard fodder. Add these and off you go. The Theatre actually put in a lot of work for me today. I used it a lot of times. It's just one of them as an additional option. So if you already open up branded opening, or branded in red, or both, you can then use your Aluba to search this out. You can then activate this, use Aluba, or 2 months in your hand, or anything like that, and it can help push you for game. The Cosmic Cyclone I didn't have in my main today, but it's something that I would definitely be putting in the main today, because this deck just doesn't have any back row out whatsoever. So everything it does, apart from like Griffin, or Chimera, sorry I keep calling it Griffin, but Chimera, it can't out floodgates, it can't out certain control boards. So if you get if your locals is control orientated, which I feel control is a very good counter to this deck, because a lot of its stuff is dealing with monsters and it is with back row, then Cosmic Cyclone, you need some form of back row hate. I feel Twin Twisters would be too much discard. I feel Lightning Storm is all about going second, so you're probably going for Cosmic Cyclones or Dusters. This is a 45 card deck, so if you wanted to, straight away cards I'd cut is 2 Cosmic and 1 Branded, and put those to the side, and Branded Lost I would cut completely. Droplet is what Droplet is. It gives you that option for going first, going second. The Branded Lost, I'm 99% sure I'm cutting this card. So I thought it was the best thing ever. I absolutely loved it. And it will come up in certain situations, but that's the thing. It will only come up in certain situations. It won't come up in all the situations you need. Its best target is the kit and the Murray Carrier. If you're not going to use either of those, then its usefulness becomes 1 less. Yes, it protects all of your fusion summons and the effects on the summon. So, I mean, I'm still on the fence about it yet, but I feel I'm falling more towards the side of it's probably not actually needed as much as I would like it to be. So that's it for the main deck. We'll go over the extra deck first, and I'll show you the side deck, and I'll explain what I was putting in and what I was taking out as well. Okay, so again, this is pretty staple-ish. There's a couple of tech cards that I'll point out in a minute. But obviously, double Mirror, double Albion, 1 Lubellion, double Masquerade, 1 Proskeleton, 1 Dracus Depelio, 1 Brigade, 1 Blue Eyes Tyrant, 1 Guardian Chimera, Dragoon, DPE, and the 1 Dark Charmer, which I was umming and ahhing between this and Verte. So this is for the pure fact that there are times when you don't lock yourself into fusions. You go into this, you can start stealing your opponent's Mirror Jade, their DPE, anything like that. Really, really cool. Mirror Jade at 2, you will go through 2, or you can have the ability to go through 2. Albion, you might need to actually summon 1, and then the other one is always going to be sent off of the Mirror Jade to trigger effect to set. Lubellion, you're always, or 99% of the time, you're recycling it. So it's why I took the risk of only having 1. If I was going to do anything, I'd probably cut Mirror to 1 and then have 2 Lubellion. 2 Masquerade, you know, what's better than making your opponent pay 600 per effect? 1200 per effect. You just cut their usage of effects in half. Pro Skeleton, again, it just put in so much work. Now, the reason it put in a lot of work, especially with my locals, is on Friday, if I had it, it would have been great, because my opponent was playing Dino, so it was like Light and a Dino DPE. There was obviously Shadow invoked, so again, Macabre and a Dark. And the best way about this is, as soon as you normal summon a monster, unless they're going to be activating like a Judgment or anything like that to stop it, as soon as they try to activate and negate, you can always chain Super Poly and you just go, cool, I'm ripping your entire board apart. If I put an extra deck monster into your graveyard during the main phase as a quick effect, I can revive it, and then I can do it during your turn as well. So I'm going to get 2 cards every single time. And like I said, in the Sword Soul matchup, I was able to revive the Draco Berserker during their turn and the Balron during my turn. So what more could you want than giving yourself an Omni Negate and then just a general monster negate that banishes. Dracus Depelio is probably the best generic Super Poly target right now for the upcoming format. This can easily be Mud Dragon, Venom, entirely up to you. Brigade is only in here to search you out, the Memory Carrier, and I'm actually thinking of cutting it completely. Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, I really, really wanted to use this against Eldritch. I just never got to it. Like the one time I had the ability to get to it, I was under Gozen and already had a Dark on the board. But the fact is, he's unaffected by trap cards, so again, really good against control decks. And then he can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Like if this was 35, you'd be pretty much in Dreamland. Not to mention it then can't be destroyed by Conquistador and everything like that. So if I was able to get to this, I decided to go for Goon over this. But if I was able to get to this, I probably should have gone for this and would have been in Dreamland. Guardian Chimera is what it is, Goon what it is, DP is what it is. And then the Dark Charmer, again, I've already explained that one as well. But there's a couple of little flex areas in here, depending on what you want. Like Blue Eyes Tyrant you can get rid of. The Brigade you can get rid of as well. It just comes down to if you actually even want to use the Hex Seal or anything like that. But I feel the rest of these are really, really cool. And the Dracus Skeleton as well is an option for you. So now let's move on to the side deck, and I'll show you exactly what I was putting in, what I was putting out, and what particular matchups they were for. Okay, so as you can see from this side deck, this is a complete, I don't know which way the format is going to fall side deck. Now, there's a couple of these that are pretty standard. So obviously Lancia, I get Tri-Brigade at my local, so I need to be able to deal with that. And then Token Collector, again, I've got a couple of Sword Soul at my locals, so I need to be able to deal with that. Not to mention, obviously, Brave Adventure as well. Then you look at the rest of the cards. Now, D-Barrier is pretty straightforward. So this is obviously good against Sword Soul, but it's really good against the Mirror matchup, which again, I expect there to be a lot of. This will probably change, like these cards here will probably be interchangeable to something a little bit else. The Evenly and Mystic Mind pretty much speak for themselves. It's more so about breaking a board, going second, but also this can break a board as well, and then get me time to regain resource to get to what I need to. Obviously, the downside is it lets my opponent get to resource, so ideally you want to be doing that when they have a huge like board presence, and it's one of the ones where you want to either drop it or turn off the board under Mystic Mind. It's obviously going to be quite bad against Sword Souls because they just go into, or they just try to get to Blackout and get rid of it. It'll be bad against Eldritch because again they can naturally get rid of it. So it's only going to be good against decks that can naturally out it. And then Secret Village, again, I never saw it. It's probably because it's only at 2. You want to need it at 3, and then you're probably considering putting in Terraform in. But the idea is that Super Poly is such a big issue for this deck that even trying to activate D-Barrier during your opponent's draw phase, they can still chain Super Poly. So you kind of need a card that will naturally let you protect from it. Now, obviously, we can't all abuse the Buster Lock this day and age, so the next best thing is Secret Village. It does make you adapt your plays because it then means that you have to specifically go the Albion route to get into Dragoon in order to sit with Dragoon, and then it means your opponent can't drop you, Dark Roller you, Super Poly you. Heck, they can't even Mystic Mine you until they put a Spellcaster on board. Obviously, it's risky if they're playing the Brave package because you just go, okay, cool, normal summon, War Enchantress, and they're good to rock and roll. But even in the Mirror matchup, if they're not using that or they can't get to it, that's no Rite of Armasyria, that's no Branded Fusion, anything like that, completely locks them down, and it is a no-go zone. Like, I would hate to kind of see this in an Eldritch matchup, like an Eldritch matchup where they're using Dragoon, because then they just go Red Ice Fusion, make Dragoon, and then activate Secret Village, and it's just like, cool, so I can't Super Poly your board, I can't Super Poly with your Golden Lord, and I'm just going to sit here like a piece of crap getting absolutely battered. So I think it would be a funny little tech in there, but again, it's just something to play around with. Now, cards that I would taken out, obviously in the Flunder matchup, these would go in, Mystic Mind would go in as well, and Evenly would go in, and stuff that would be coming out would be stuff like the Ghost Mourner, Ghost Bell. Sometimes I used to risk it by putting Albaz to 1, and every time I did it bit me in the arse. Comedy would usually come out as well sometimes, and yeah, I pretty much just played around with the ratios of everything else. Branded Lost came out 99% of the time. Sometimes I cut one, it didn't make sense, but I took out one of the chains. There was a game where I took out the chains, the polys, and the patchwork. So there are interchangeable and expendable pieces that you can kind of utilise and change around with should you want to. And anyway, apart from that, that is the full structure deck, or the full structure deck, the full deck profile. Like I said, I've done it in a little bit of different style here so that you can pause it, see what cards I'm playing, and then build off the back of that as I explain everything as we go as well, so I don't repeat what I did a couple of days ago when I did the official release of this video. But yeah, a little tip, like straight away, I believe this is coming out, and then it's trying to make sure you've got natural back row outs, whether it be in the main or the extra deck, just to kind of give you that additional edge to deal with what you might need to be facing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.